perennial herbs to grow on your window ledge. Agrowplants.org. This is how to create your own herb garden on your windowsill. And before we start, don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, of course, make a like. Sheaves plant. So it's not hard to grow on your window. Two main things that you need to check. So first, that you have enough space on the root part. If you have too many plants, you need to reduce the amount of plants that you have. Better not to let it bloom, because then you cannot really, although the flowers are beautiful, better not to let it grow and bloom. Just let it grow how much you can. The moment that you see it start to bloom, just cut the stem. Can grow in variety of climates, hardiness zone from 3 to 11. Except this, it's biennial, but mostly uses an annual plant, but it's always regrow itself in vegetative reproduction. You know, the bulbs are duplicate themselves, so this is a perennial plant. And from requirement, so every few years switch the soil. And except this, don't forget to reduce the amount of plants, because when it will be too much, you won't see any new leaves that grow, and it will just be old plant. And although you reduce the amount of plants, you will have more and more to harvest. Tsavorite plant. So Tsavorite can grow in hardiness from 3 to 11. Except this, the leaves are fragrant. It can grow great in a container. Be aware that you have a lot of kind of Tsavorite. Usually the most common are the winter Tsavorite and the summer Tsavorite. The summer Tsavorite, it's an annual plant. The winter Tsavorite, it's perennial. Leave the test aside, that this is a matter of your own. I think that it's really lovely and better to grow the perennial for a few reasons. One, you don't need to reseed it every year, although it's usually reseed itself. And the second, it's look like a bonsai and you have it all the year. You can just harvest and enjoy. If you like to cook, you want that it will be all the year, you will have this plant. Be aware that annual, it's a little bit problematic and won't be enough. Another thing about the roots, when you grow it in a container, be aware that every few years need to check that this plant didn't fill all the root system. There is enough place to grow. If not, the perennial, you can grow it as a bonsai. Just take it out of the pot, cut part of the roots. You can cut 20 to 30% and even more, and just replant it with a new soil. Basil plant. So this plant, it's actually, you will need to choose the right subspecies or the species. The main point that you need to grow, you have two options, or perennial or annual plants. Each one, it's different. You have also in colored, like the dark opal basil and other kind. You have the cinnamon basil, that it's usually actually have a little bit hint of cinnamon. You have the Thai basil, that it's also annual, and you have the lettuce leaf. So if you want it more for salad, the lettuce leaf basil will be okay. If you like licorice or anise taste, licorice basil, it's perennial and it's easy to grow. Again, if you grow the perennial every few years, just to cut part of the roots and put it back, it will regrow. If you see that the plants become too much old, you take a stem, put in water and grow it. Except this, you have if you don't have a lot of place, you have the Greek basil. The Greek basil, it's very very small. It doesn't take a lot of place. The leaves are in very high density, and this is important. If you want to grow something like a bonsai, so basil tree, it's a human-made hybrid. It's really look like a bonsai, and you can take care of it like a bonsai plant. Lime and lemon basil are more remind a little bit soury, and of course you have the sweet basil. So this is an annual plant, and when you grow it, it's something that you probably know what it is. You can use it for salad, pesto, and other kind of things. You can also grow the holy basil, but I think it's too much big for a container, and you will always need to take care of it. So this will be too much. But sweet basil, or even the cinnamon, or the small perennial, will be great in a container. Don't forget, of course, to check the roots that it's not overcrowded. The roots of the basil can be very intense, so need to check. If yes, just reduce the amount of, just cut like 20 to 30%, especially in perennial, and replant it. Mint plant. So this plant can grow in hardiness zone from 4 to 11A. Of course, also in 11B depend the species, not everything. When you grow it in a container, you need to remember to reduce the amount of plants. It's very vicious growing plant. I mean, it grows very fast. Of course, in the right condition. This plant likes sun, and a lot of sun, less in the winter, like the winds. So it's something to consider. And of course, the leaves are the edible parts. And if you don't have a place, you have the Corsican mint that has very small plants, can grow in a half a liter, so it's mean like 0.20, I think, of gallons, really small. It doesn't take a place. Of course, you have a lot of cultivars like apple mint, chocolate mint, and each one of them it's a little bit different. Aquatic mint, I think it's not really fit, but you have enough. Don't forget that every few years to reduce the amount of roots, even to take all the roots, not all the roots, but to leave a little small amount of roots, to leave like depends the size. If it's small container, you can actually just put it and it will regrow. The moment that it regrow, you can just put a new in a container. Better to have at least 1 gallon, but possible less. Of course, smaller the container will be, more work you will have to reduce the amount of plants. It's grow rapidly, and it's something that you should consider. Lemongrass. So this lemongrass, it's very rapid growing plant, fast growing plant, can grow in hardiness zone from 10 plus. With overwinter you can put it indoor, but will suffer for sure, need a lot of light and sunlight. Except this, the moment that you start to grow it, you need to know that you need, it's very big, can be even 2 meters, so it means 6 feet. What you need to know about the growing in a container, that you need always to reduce the amount of plants. Let's say that every time that the plant fill itself, fill all the container, better even round container, just better fit. You take the plants out of the container, take 50% of the plants, throw them away, and replant it. If you won't do it, the plants might die or just stuck in a good case scenario. I would also say that this plant, it's easy to grow, but need to put some water. The plants like water, and except this, you need to put fertilizer, of course, every few years, and use it when you replant it. Choose a smaller one, don't choose a big one, and then it will be better. Rosemary plant. So this plant grows very well in a container in hardiness zone from 7B plus, can grow until 11. Except this, the leaves are fragrant, and when you grow it in a container, 5 liter will be the minimum, I think, but possible to grow it less. So minimum it's an ideal, but you can grow it in 5 liter. It's 1 gallon. You can grow it in half a gallon, but keep it very small. Be aware that even in 5 liter, you need always to cut the roots and the plants. Don't forget to cut also the plants, that the plant will regrow. If not, you need to design it as a bonsai. Doesn't mean exactly the bonsai, but to reduce it all the time to keep it small, that it will have where to grow, include the roots. Why it's important? Also, you can choose, if you can choose, here it's not possible. I'm well aware that there is small cultivars, and this is much better than all the cultivars that arrive even to 2 meters, so it means 6 feet, 80 inches. And except this, it's not hard to grow in a container. Be aware again that the soil cut every time like 30 to 40% of the roots every time that the roots fill all the container, and also cut the same amount of leaves and stems. Oregano plant. So oregano can grow in hardiness zone from 4 to 11. Prefer full sun, can grow very well in half shade, but in hot climate. In cold weather, might won't survive in half shade or even less. It's a great ground cover, so better, let's say, wider container will be better for this plant. Also, don't forget to reduce the amount of plants. It's always regrow from under more and more plants. At the moment that you have it, you need to reduce. Why do you need to reduce? If not, the plants will be old and even might die, especially if it's fill all the container. The moment that it's fill all the container, you can just reduce from 20 to 50%, or even to leave one plant if you have the patient. Take all the other to dry, and the moment that you use it, you have very good, new growth, and you can use the other leaves that you use, just dry them and reuse them. So you start from the beginning, but you have always leaves that are dry. It's less good. Except this, mostly it's arrive in green, but there is variegate green with gray or green with yellow or just yellow leaves. So if you grow it, you can have also as an ornamental. Again, depend what kind of oregano you grow. The height of the plant will be from 20 to 60 centimeters, so it's been 8 to 24 inches. It doesn't really matter the height. Actually, it's better that the plants will grow higher. It takes less place. Sage plant or Salvia officinalis. The plant can grow in hardiness zone from 4B to 11. Usually the leaves are green-gray, but you can also find the cultivars that can be with yellow, white or purple. And if you choose to grow it almost indoor on the edge, on the ledge of the window, I would highly recommend to use maybe the colored one. It's much prettier. Again, you can use it to grow it as a bonsai, especially if you have small pot. I would highly recommend to cut the leaves and the roots, especially when it fills the roots. All the moment that it's arrived, cut like 20% or even 30% of the roots, and then let it regrow. It will be the speed of the growth will be depends the amount of place that you will give the plants. Less place you will have, less it will grow, and will be smaller. The height can be like 30 centimeters, so it's mean 1 feet, and it will require small amount of water. It also can grow in full shade, but with a lot of light, so it doesn't have to be on the ledge. Can be also indoor itself. Size of the container will be the best, at least 10 liters, so it's mean 2 gallons, but you can grow it also in half a gallon. It's mean 2.5 liters, but will be really small. Let's say in 1 gallon, 5 liters will be great, and you will have enough in order to consume it. Fennel plant. So this plant can grow as an annual from hardiness zone from 3 to 9 and perennial from 9 to 11. Except this, it's also ornamental, very beautiful, and medical. The leaves are edible, and also the base of the plant. It looks like a bulb, but it's actually just a kind of stem. When you grow it, it's always regrow new plants. When you grow it for in the indoor, on the windows ledge actually, mostly you need to take care that you will have enough, let's say one plant or even one mother plant and one daughter plant. It will be enough in a container. Too much, it will kill itself, and you need also to contain the growth of the plant. It can grow until 1 meter point 6, so it means 64 inches. So it's a lot, and it's also a fast growing plant. Except this, every like 1 year or two, if especially if it's a small container, need to reduce the amount of fruits, and even to start with a new plants, the daughter plants, just plant it and take the mother out, and you will have enough space in order to grow it for the next year. It's not hard to grow it. It's just need a switch, especially if you have a small container. A small container can be 2 liters. It's very small, and you need to put a lot of compost and fertilizer. It's mean like half a gallon, something like this, even less. And if you choose to grow it in this kind of condition, be aware that all the time you will need to switch the pot. If you grow it in a 5 liter, so it's been 1 gallon, it will be less job and it will grow much better. Thyme plant. So this plant can grow in hardiness zone from 5 to 11. It's edible. There is a lot of plants that can be also ornamental, so can be also beautiful and edible, like creeping thyme or even the lemon thyme. Usually, when you choose to grow it, be aware that most of them are ground cover and require wider container, but you have the Thymus vulgaris that it's usually grow at you can actually design it as a little bonsai. Some of the time actually can grow as a bonsai and not a ground cover. There is an advantage to this or advantage to this, depend what you want to grow. I think that both are okay, and choose by the flavor. Some stronger, some less. If you choose to grow it in as a bonsai cultivars or species, be aware that you need to every few years to cut part of the roots. It can be even until 30% of the roots, and just replant it. If you grow it in as a ground cover, the ground cover cultivars, better to cut even into the half of the container. Just reorganize it, make space between the plants, and replant all. Cover it well, put some fertilizer, and it will regrow. Except this, the plant like a lot of sun, so this is something that you should need to consider. The height of the plant, it depends, of course, the species. It's between 5 to 30 centimeters, so it's between 2 to 12 inch. If you grow it well, it will be fast growing plant. Just for understanding, when you take one small pot, better that the container will be at least 400% or even 500% bigger than the root ball. Why it's important? Because when you grow it well, it's grow fast, and then you will just all the time need to switch the container. That's all from growplants.org. Don't forget to subscribe, visit our website, and of course, if you have any question, just ask. You have here links about more videos, some lists, subscribe, and of course purchase a plant, and this is donation for our channel. I hope you enjoy and come visit us again.